Yep. Okay.
I'm a huge fan of buttons. Buttons are good stuff.
I don't think I caught Freeman's weird noises that he was making, but hi everybody, welcome to Ramblemancy.
Hi.
I think I just
Good evening,
barely
everyone.
missed catching the weird noises Freeman was making, but welcome everyone. To tonight's episode of Ramblemancy. I'm so happy to be here. I forgot how to say sentences. Well, tonight we're going to be talking about comfort media and feel-good media. Basically an excuse to talk about all of our favorite things. And yours as well. When I say us, our, I meant like the royal us, the royal we, all of us.
The Royal Ramblers.
Very nice.
Yes. The royal Ramble fam. Anyway.
Kiss my royal ramble jewels. No. Okay. Cut.
No.
Cut.
No. Okay.
Cut.
No.
Where's
no.
Where's the clapboard?
You know, I am so unprepared.
Yeah.
Also so blurry again. Sorry.
Well, anyway, we're bringing. I know I say this every time, seemingly lately, but we're bringing some weird energy to tonight's stream. But I don't think we actually have any announcements right now. I think we right. We're not doing anything.
Shows. We got them Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's when they're at. Except that we don't have the Tuesday one right now.
Yeah.
So the announcement that we have is until further notice for the next few weeks, probably. There is no In Too Deep on Tuesdays because some of the cast are finishing up the end of the school year, and that beast known as finals must be defeated before we can return to fight fantastical creatures in the realms of Dungeons and Dragons, specifically
absolutely.
Waterdeep or
And
somewhere close to it.
I know he's not here right now, but can we just get a quick congratulations to one Colin Kelly? Colin Counterspell Kelly is graduating this coming month. And that's fucking dope. Like, that's a big deal, y'all. So
way to fucking go, Colin.
Yeah.
I have goblins for this.
Hey, there's some goblins.
Yeah.
I have goblins. That feels a little bit. That's become my brand now. I think is I have goblins for this.
I have a goblin. There's a goblin for this. Yeah.
I've got a goblin for that.
But yeah. So for the next couple weeks, we're not going to have any In Too Deep. But in theory, we will still have Infinite Horizon, provided that. No, listen. Come hell or high water, we will stream our sci-fi supers TTRPG on Star Wars Day. Okay.
True.
So
true.
Come hell or high water, because I will not miss an opportunity to shoehorn as many Star Wars references into that episode of Infinite Horizon as absolutely possible. So, this Wednesday, it's fucking I don't care I don't care if everybody's sick and I have to come in here and stream alone. I will be streaming.
Be in the room where it happened. Yeah.
Anyway,
Stream in the room where it happened. Yeah.
So yeah, that's all we got right now. Sort of a quiet couple of months here on Rule of Lore. So as far as announcements go, that's pretty much it. So, Odds and Ends says my friend Luke's birthday is May the 3rd. Wow, I bet that got really annoying at some point growing up. Like, it was bad enough me, Lucas, and they're like, "Oh, you like Star Wars and your name is Lucas." I was like, "Yes,
original.
That is correct." But
it's weird. I've never heard that joke before.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like Lucas Skywalker. It's like, first of all, incorrect in every way it is possible to be. Secondly, leave me alone. Leave me alone. I am 5 years old. Karaoke night. Welcome. Couldn't figure out how to get the chat to work, and then I realized I had accidentally clicked on an old video. That'd do it. Yeah. Fair enough. Plot twist, there's high water in hell and we all get pneumonia from it. Honestly, yeah, probably. What is it? The one that's the final level, is that the one that's cold? That
it's frozen.
I don't know.
Basically a windy frozen wasteland.
Yeah, I didn't actually read Dante's Inferno.
I skimmed it.
Yeah. gets confusing on who your dad is. Incredible.
Are you my dad?
All right, cool. Yeah, that's pretty much what we got for announcements. So John, what do you got for us?
A lot of fluffy media.
Good.
Um,
Yes. Okay,
Tonight's episode of Ramblemancy is brought to you by Comfort Media, which all of us have been consuming a lot of because the last 2 years have been a long decade. And I think that everybody has really just been in it just needed some of that kind of nice, chill.
That's why that's
fluffy
specifically
media.
yes, and that is specifically why I spent a good chunk of 2020 like binging all of The Walking Dead.
Yeah, exactly. I think like the fun thing about comfort media to me is like I think a lot of people is like when you say comfort media, I think a lot of people's minds go to stuff like, oh yeah, so you mean like stuff like Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley, like cozy and like kind of chill games. But like, and yes, that's true. I will gravitate to those things oftentimes, but I will also, when I am stressed out and need to just have something on, put on The Witcher. So, which is a decidedly like it's like dark, gritty, violent. Like it's not chill media in the slightest, but it is like a piece of comfort media for me, which I find fascinating. So like I think one of the things that I am always interested in when it comes to comfort media is like trying to figure out what exactly makes comfort media from person to person.
Because like comfort media doesn't necessarily always mean comfortable media, you know?
Yeah.
Like Nico said, Souls-like are my comfort media. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, after a long, extremely stressful day, I like to sit down and play Elden Ring and Monster Hunter for 6 hours. Like nice, like
Karaoke Night says, I watch The Conjuring 1 about once a month.
Ooh.
Woof.
Nice.
I am being just absolutely roasted in chat right now too.
Oh, yeah.
Gemini said, I mean, The Witcher is very bi, so it fits John. Are you implying that I watch The Witcher for Henry Cavill and his armor with abs? Because you'd be correct, Gemini.
You mean the armor that he like routinely broke because like his muscles were too big?
I need to go take a shower real quick.
God, yeah.
Oh my god.
Odds makes a good point. I find I go back to something that makes me feel emotions that I'm seeking. That can be a sort of weird empathy of this episode is sad, and I am sad. Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, in a way, like in the catharsis in the Aristotelian sense, where like catharsis is that who talked about catharsis? I get all those like I get them all confused. But the point is, like catharsis in sort of like the original sense of the word was one in which like one would sort of feel and express great emotion by proxy from watching it play out in front of them on a stage, watching other people play it.
Yeah, that was Aristotle about tragedy.
Yeah. So like the that kind of catharsis I think is also good. Like it's not just, you don't always, like if you're feeling bad, you like sometimes you watch warm, fluffy, comfortable media, but sometimes you just want to watch some really sad shit, you know.
Sometimes you want to lean into it.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, like, and you know, I think there's an interesting line to ride when it comes to choosing your comfort media like that, where you choose something that doesn't necessarily like wallow in it, but that like provides like a kind of like safe of space for you to experience that within like a boundary for it.
Genuinely, this is one of the reasons why this is something I discovered about myself during like the early days of like quarantine. I discovered that one of my comfort media is apparently like feel good, like coming of age films, right? That's like a thing, because I think for me it provides sort of like an emotional roller coaster at the end of which promises release, you know? And I think that's like for me one of the reasons why that's what I gravitate to during those like though during those times when I'm like in my feelings and just it's like super late at night, and I'm just like in my feelings but also like by myself because everybody else is asleep, um that's what I tend to gravitate towards, like those. So I'm like not necessarily rom-coms, but sometimes those, but I have to be in a specific mood for rom-coms. Um
That's kind of K-dramas for me. Like
yeah.
there's a formula to this, and I know like no matter what happens here, I know basically exactly how this is going to end
Right.
within like a spectrum of interpretations. And so like I kind of just like get to turn off my brain and let the fluffy romance tropes go brr, like
Yeah. Yeah.
like he cute effects and smooches go brr, like it's just a good time.
Yeah.
And I can kind of occupy myself like picking out the, oh, that's cool how they kind of inverted that, or like, oh, this is an interesting expression of the way that this usually happens, or okay, cool, they like, I thought this was
Yeah.
going to happen, but instead like they did something a little different with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Karaoke Nate says comfort media for me has to be something I've seen before. Usually, many times when I'm seeking comfort, I don't have the capacity for trying something new. Completely fair. That, and I think that's probably true for me too. But I don't know if I necessarily seek stuff that I specifically have seen before. Always. Sometimes it's just I seek stuff where like I know what I'm getting. So it's still that familiarity, but it's less like where I still want novelty, the novelty of like a new thing that I've not seen before, but I also want the predictability of something where I'm like, I know what I'm getting here, you know?
Which for me, like when it comes to that kind of thing, is when it's fun to watch like kind of comfy media that somebody else has seen, so that you can kind of like share it with them. Like it's familiar by proxy almost. So you have an outlet as you're watching and experiencing things to somebody who's seen it before, to be like, oh my God, you know.
Yeah.
And I think I find that oftentimes I find that will pull me into like, even if I'm looking for kind of like comfy or wind down media, that kind of pulls me toward like a new thing. If there's somebody who has already seen it or who's currently like consuming it that I can share it with, that will pull me, that'll kind of row me towards something too.
Yeah, yeah. PK Harn said, totally agree with that. I also tend to gravitate towards things with my favorite characters. If I have a deep connection for the characters, it's like seeing old friends when you watch the media again. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Danny, hello.
Hi, Danny.
Arriving just in time as we're talking about favorite characters, and I quietly I whisper shout into my microphone,
Caden 303, thank you so much for the follow.
Hi,
Welcome to the area. This
my
is
favorite
this
thing.
is the area.
The general area.
This is the zone.
This is get in the zone.
No,
Zone.
no. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean to set it off.
It happened.
God.
Here we are.
I knew it was gonna happen too.
That
I was like,
fucking-
oh shit.
I don't listen to the radio very much. I almost exclusively listen to music on like streaming apps on my phone when I'm driving from place to place. But like when I do listen to the radio, anytime I know for weeks, because that is in my head.
It's funny because Pandora does that for me. Pandora is always like bringing up those ads. Anyway,
the ad.
Let's see. Oznet said, sorry, catching up with chat. It's also how you get to a point. Oh, sorry, hold on. It's part of like. Nope. I forgot. I went back. Yeah, it's also how you get to a point where you're telling other people why they should watch Night at the Museum 3 because it was there when you needed it.
Yeah. You just have such powerful, like Danny said, anyone mentioned yet comfort media that's really tied to a period in your life and the change that community had and that's why it's your comfort media. And like, yes, that actually odds, I believe, was just kind of shifting us around to that part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Like media that has had such like a foundational part of like a part of your life that watching it kind of like evokes things for you or kind of helps like is just comfortable for you.
What did I just watch that was like that? I cannot remember.
Nico says, it's really funny that we're having this discussion the same week that I binge watched all of original Naruto. I've seen Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann quite a few times now. It was one of the first anime that I watched when I was making the transition from high school to college. Like my very first year in college, I think that was maybe the second or third anime that I watched. And it's a good show. It's definitely a show that's from 2007 and it is unabashedly horny. In the way that a lot of shonen anime are. It also has some really sweet, like cool like themes about like self-confidence and discovery and coming of age and like fraternal relationships and discovery of identity. There's a lot of cool stuff going on in that anime in addition to some very phallic imagery involving like drills and piercing the heavens, but like
I am uncomfortable.
it is at least as an anime self-aware, and I appreciate that about it. But like it's a solid show, but I do find myself every so often coming back to it just because like I'm like this is something that like helped me get through my freshman year of college. And so like I will recommend this to other people.
Yeah. Also, hi Spigs, welcome. Hello.
Jolly Old Up Nexus, you're welcome. Yeah, Jolly Old Up Nexus is the reason that I watched Gurren Lagann in the first place, and it actually was. I'm not going to say a foundational part of our friendship, but it was one of the pillars. I think, in addition to spending a lot of time playing Skyrim in Jolly Old Up Nexus's room.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
I saw Caden said, old Disney movies. Lilo is mine because it's one of their unique films as it was produced on a small budget and it was done in watercolor, which is fairly rare. Snow White and Dumbo were the first two movies before the Mouse House changed art style. Yeah. Some good choices there. I'm not gonna lie. But let's see. Danny said something that I thought was very interesting here, which was Callisto 6 has a fan community, and the period of my life, and that period of my life means so much more than Callisto 6 the show at this point. And I kind of also agree with that. I like because Callisto 6 has been like gone for so long. Like it's now like it had a foundational piece for me that's sort of changed how I like sort of GM games. But I agree, Danny. Honestly, for me too. Like it's more about like the community there that like that is what has sort of stuck with me from that time period. So like now, even if I went back and watched Callisto 6, it still wouldn't be. I think I would go back to it, and it still wouldn't have for me the same impact that it had at the time because now it's kind of grown beyond itself. If that makes sense.
Like I remember I came in to all of this like kind of at the tail end of Callisto 6, and so I missed the boat on it a little bit. And like I've seen the first season of Callisto 6, and like I liked it. It's a great show. That cast is amazing. I love everything that they do. But I know that it does not mean the same thing to me that it means to so many members of like the Streampunks community.
Yeah. Caden, 100% same. I'm right in the same boat with you. Mine is also Shield of Tomorrow. Because that's like when I came in. Like they were towards the end of the show when I came into Shield of Tomorrow. Like I think they were still like 15 or so episodes before like the show finally ended. When I came in, but 100% same. That show kind of had a huge impact on my life for a variety of reasons, not just because it changed the way I looked at, GMing and playing games and like what those kinds of games would be, but also because it's what sort of inspired me to want to go to Gen Con for the first time. And then from Gen Con, then that sort of like is what inspired Freeman and I to start the conversation about like starting this actually Rule of Lore. And then so much that kind of changed. But let's see, catching up with sorry, catching up with I think Spig said the first time I met you guys in person was at Gen Con because we're waiting for the C6 meet and greet, and I was working the MCG's booth. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I met so many people. I met so many people at that booth.
Yeah.
I met so many people at that booth at the like C6 meetup at the MCG booth. It was insane. Like Dorky Duckling is not here in chat tonight, but I like bumped into Bree there. And like I think we had played D&D already at that point.
No, I think that's where that at the MCG booth that day. That's where I invited Bree to come play D&D with us.
Okay, yeah. Okay. That's where it happened. Okay, so that occurred around there, but also Dorky Duckling, who I've played tabletop RPGs with quite a bit in the last couple of years, was also like 3 feet away the entire time that I was there. Like there's a picture of her. I think there's a picture of me or something in which she is in the background.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit. Like
yeah, like I'm pretty sure I had a full on conversation with Dorky while we were there, and then ended up guesting in your game, and then only after that was I like, oh, and then I connected the two interactions. I was like, this is the same person.
I know. Like it was wild, and I know that's where I met to see you guys. I think for the first time as well, and a couple of other people.
I still haven't met Al. I still haven't met Al in person.
True. Yeah. Same.
He wasn't there that year.
Oh, soon.
Yes, I hope so.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, like I think that kind of stuff is so interesting, like particularly in the TTRPG space, because that stuff is interesting because for me at least, because I'm so, like eyeballs deep in TTRPGs at literally all times, those like TTRPG media has a sort of very different impact than just just comfort media, because for me I see it as like instructional. For me, a lot of the TTRPG media that I see out there helps me do a thing that I find comforting, which is like anybody who knows me knows that I like to grind my brain against the whetstone that is media, right? So like I can't just passively watch media. My brain is always like picking it apart, trying to see what's in there, And especially for like TTRPG, that's especially true for TTRPG stuff, because I'm always going like, ooh, how did they do that? Like, what was the technique that they just used to do that? How can I emulate that? Or like, how can I take this idea that they had and apply it to like what I'm doing? So I think for that reason alone, TTRPG media tends not to be comfort media for me these days, because it like I am actively, like my brain is actively working on those,
It's kind of like I work with a few comic artists, and I know like reading certainly they read a lot of comics, but I know a lot of them have expressed to me like, yeah, it is hard for me to read a comic and turn off like work brain or like, oh yeah, no, that's a sick panel layout, I'm gonna have to remember that, or like like the oh, interesting way that they've used like negative space. Like it's stop, just read the comic. Like it's so it's a little bit that way for me too with TTRPG media, since we make that.
Yeah, which is actually maybe why I don't have like the headspace for it anymore. Like the moment we started producing actual plays, it was the moment I stopped having brain space for actual plays.
Wow, like it was astronomical. Like before we started streaming TTRPGs and stuff, like it was like, oh yeah, I love watching. I'll watch Critical Role every week, and then like I'll listen to this podcast, and like I'll keep up on this other show, and like
but now it's like now it feels like it's part of work.
Yeah, I know.
So now you're watching
because you're studying,
Yes.
You're taking notes.
Yeah. If you're not studying, then you're like hanging out in chat, and you're like, oh yeah, no, I'll be on the rule of law. I'll be on my own account, like following around in chat, and like even then it feels like work, and you're like, oh no, I've been doing this all week already.
Yeah, my brain has lived here nonstop all week. Now I would like a break to checks notes. Do more of it.
Yeah, exactly. I would like a break from making TTRPG shows to checks notes. Watch TTRPG shows.
Well, that's why it's really good to have shows that you can turn your brain off for, like, The Walking Dead, for instance, or
that's a very brain off show.
Yeah,
very brain off show.
Somewhat the 100, but except I enjoy the 100, but I also have watched it, so I'm watching it as a way to like watch it and enjoy it. But I'm also like, I've got some things to do around the house, so I'm gonna watch and /listen. because I kind of, that's a very nice thing to do. It's like,
Yeah,
that's like my type of comfort media is like, oh, I don't want to say like, oh, I really love doing chores. I'm so comfortable doing chores, but it's like when I combine the two, it's like a nice little,
when I can watch TTRPG shows is it's a very specific case where I am like I if anybody knows anything about me, that I love open world survival crafting games. And
what, Lucas, you never told me this.
Shut the fuck up. If I am like very into one of those, sometimes like because there's not a whole lot going on in those games besides like sort of brain off kind of stuff, right? Like just sort of like mining, digging, crafting, exploring, whatever. That's when I'll put on TTRPG shows, right? Because then it's just sort of playing while I'm doing something, especially if I'm by myself, because then like super late at night, yeah, it's just about having voices, having voices.
That's a good idea.
I mean, go ahead, Freeman.
I was just gonna say I should do that. That sounds good.
It is genuinely how I watched. It's how I caught up on a lot of Critical Role back when I was still trying to keep up with Critical Role. And it's how I started catching up on Power Play, and then but the problem is once I lose the obsession with the game that I'm playing,
right,
then I lose track of like the other thing too. So
yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
See, I'm sure everyone will be very surprised when I say that I really like roguelikes. And yeah, wow, what a shocker. Risk of Rain 2, Hades, Slay the Spire, like what a shocker that John likes.
That's
procedurally
so
generated.
Surprising to me, John. I like next thing you're gonna say is that you're really into Metroidvanias. Like that's
yeah, I don't know, like do you really know me that well? Like anyway, so I like roguelikes, and roguelikes for me are the I can listen to TTRPG media while I do this, like or like I can listen to media that normally brain would go for. But if I am occupying kind of if I'm occupying some of my brain with whatever roguelike or whatever I'm playing, then I can put on a Starstruck Odyssey and listen to this week's episode, or John, next you'll say you like Lucas. I was about to say
yeah
I have a brand, and it is Metroidvanias, roguelikes, and goblins. Bree, hello.
We were literally just talking about you.
Yeah, we were actually. Speak of the Faye, and she appears. I'm gonna say the devil, but like I think we all know what brand we've got.
John, Danny has a suggestion for you if you're interested in it.
Oh yeah. Hey John, have you ever played Metroid? I think you'd really, Danny, actually that is a good suggestion. I do hear I really liked Hollow Knight, and I hear Metroid is kind of like Hollow Knight or something. So let me just I'll write that.
Welcome back, Caden.
To the bit.
Welcome back, Caden.
Speak of the sucky Bree. There, I suppose there is a demon version of Bree now.
Like you do. What were we talking about before? You were talking about the roguelikes and the listening to turning brain
just
off.
That that's one of the things that like with you for survival crafting games, that's kind of what helps me consume TTRPG media, since I'm so involved in making it. Also, Bree, you came up when we were talking about Gen Con 2019, because I think we originally, like, Spigs was in here, and we were talking about how we met Spigs, and then just like talking in general about how wild it was that we came into contact with several people with whom we like play games or talk to regularly now at that meetup.
He's like, oh, that I can't go.
Oh,
yes,
no,
we were
that
specifically
came up.
Sitting here like, wow, look at Bree not going to Gen Con. Neither am I.
Yeah, look at her getting married this year. Fucking can't go to Gen Con because of that. Jeez, come on, get your priorities straight, gal. Like.
Yeah, we were just over here dunking on you for not being able to go to Gen Con. That's the whole conversation that we were having.
Yeah, actually, that's routinely what we do on Ramblemancy.
I was not a part of this at all. I am innocent.
You got one friend on the cast at least.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also like open world crafty game survival zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. That. Yes.
This week on Ramblemancy, roasting Brie.
Honestly, though, so like for when it comes to like those, so speaking of comfort media, and now we're sort of moving towards like video game kind of conversation. Like those open world survival crafting games for me, I really like them, especially like as Freeman just mentioned, if there is like a zombie element to it. It doesn't have to literally be zombies, but like, and no, I'm not talking about Minecraft. That doesn't count. Um, but if there's like some sort of existential threat besides just like starving to death, you know, like I think that for me, I don't know why, but for me, that's like the comfort video game. That's like where I will, that and RPGs, I will always, those are my like comfort. Honestly, anything open world, frankly, anything open world.
Freeman, I have a feeling I know what your comfort game is.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say Skyrim. Yeah.
That is true. That is very true.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I've made it a thing where I only play Skyrim like when the first snow hits, and because Skyrim
good time.
is a very kind of snowy, cold environment. But for video games, yeah, I'd say that Skyrim is easily one of those things that I got into it maybe a few months or no, like a year after it came out, and I've always been like obsessed with it ever since Lucas introduced me to the game. He was at college and I would go over to his parents' house and play Skyrim for like a couple hours. That's all I did. I just, hi, genuinely, I'm here to play Skyrim. Okay, I'm done, bye.
Genuinely, I think the reason that I have, maybe not so much anymore, but at the time, the reason I had so many hours into Skyrim was Freeman. Freeman was the reason I had so many hours in Skyrim.
It was so much fun to watch someone play the game as well, too. It's amazing. I just love Skyrim. Here I am gushing about Skyrim. I just recently made a character. I broke my rule. I'm playing Skyrim in almost summertime because I'm in need of it right now.
Fucking rebel over here.
Yeah, rebel mage. Spells coming out both hands. It's been a lot of fun.
So what you're saying is you're ambidextrous?
Fucking goddamn. Well, I'm not saying that.
I'm sorry, I can't be mad at you. I've got an emote for this even. Fucking get the snaps in there. Like that was brilliant.
That was good.
Ambidextrous. Damn.
That got spells coming out of both hands.
I got it.
God damn it. Oh, there's levels to this joke. I settled down a little bit and now I'm like laughing again.
Mm-hmm. How do we continue the show after that? Like,
I don't know. I'm gonna log off and play Skyrim. I don't know about y'all.
All right, have a good time. Say hi to Jurgen Windcaller for me.
Anyway,
there was a point in there somewhere. Like, I asked Freeman, so that Freeman
right.
could, you could elaborate a little bit about it. But this was a thought that I had as we were talking about comfort games, because I was just thinking about my comfort games, Lucas describing his, Freeman kind of what I thought to be yours. And I know some of the comfort games, of the folks in chat, like Nico mentioned Souls likes, and I know I've seen people in here like Stardew Valley, Planet Zoo, those kind of zoo or coaster type theme park tycoon games. I've seen a lot of the folks in here enjoy, or The Sims. And a common thread that I find through all of these, including things like Monster Hunter and Souls likes, is just the abundance of kind of little tasks. And it's a sliding scale, right? It's a sliding scale from Stardew Valley, which is literally kind of just or Animal Crossing, which is literally just a chores simulator, more they're just very cute kind of fey-y chores simulators. And I think there's something to be said for the fact that a lot of these comfort games are something that provide us with lots of little things to do within the game that give kind of immediate like feedback or results, and they kind of occupy that little goblin in our brain that just like constantly wants to be picking up like new things and like looking at them and then putting them down again.
Man, I gotta say, when I first when I like way back when I first played Minecraft, um, my problem was that I always had a task, right? And I just like couldn't stop because there was always another task to perform, and there was always like, all right, I got to focus on this. Okay, now I got to do this. Now I got to make sure I do this. Oh, and I want to do that so that I can do this, and so I can do that, so I can do this. And like that was
Yeah.
me in Minecraft. So I think you're definitely correct about that. Like there is a certain amount of the like,
Sorry about Minecraft.
huh?
I was just saying, oh yeah, don't get me started on Minecraft.
Like these days I don't think I can do Minecraft these days because I think I've done it to death, and even with all the new shit that they've put into it, like I think for me
Yeah.
so much of it is about I think what has happened for me with Minecraft is that a lot of it has turned into like the new stuff that they've put in, a lot of it has become grind, you know what I mean? And grind is what's the opposite of comfort media? Discomfort media? Anything that requires you to grind for me, I'm just like absolutely not. I'm not in. I was
Right.
just having this conversation with Spigs earlier today, actually, about like, about MMOs, and one of the reasons why I can't get into too many of them, at least not for a very long time, is because so many of them focus on endgame content, and endgame content is the worst thing that I can possibly think of. It is my least favorite thing in any MMO. It's just like you gotta grind so that you can do this, and like like it's you have to get to the level so that you can do end game content, but then the end game content you can't do it until you do it a bajillion times so that you can get that like piece of loot that's going to help you be less bad at it. And you want that piece of loot so you can be good at it, so you can do it more, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Like
Path of Exile was my comfort like video game for a long time, and then and that game has always been grindy because Diablo and Diablo
right,
clones
right.
are always kind of grindy. But I think where it lost me is where I basically was just facing like a multi-stage grind on like 9 fronts to do anything that I wanted to do in the end game of Path, and I was just like, I just want to take my character and ram them up against the hardest boss I can find, and like the hardest content I can find, just to see what'll happen and to get cool stuff. And it's like, well, no, first you have to play the game for 50 hours on that character for that to happen. And I'd be like, you lost me at I can't get to the stuff I want to get to in the span of like 8-10 hours of gameplay. Like you lost me there.
Yeah. Karaoke night, I 100% agree. I like open worlds where I can just do what I want, how I want, at any time. I don't like being told what to do, even if that thing is the story.
Like
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
like Nico said earlier, I think that ties into that really well. Like for me, it's specifically games that allow me to set a goal for myself, not one given by the game explicitly, but a personal goal. And like,
Yes. And I
Skyrim,
think
open world survival crafting, even games like Stardew Valley, like are very good at that.
it's a little bit like what Danny said a little bit a second ago, which is that honestly, I like Minecraft because you don't have to do anything. You just get to do the same thing again, but slightly different. That's a little bit like, I mean, you basically just get to decide how you interact with the game. And I think that's why those things are good.
Mhm.
I could count on one hand how many times I finished the Skyrim story. I can count on one finger the amount of times that I've finished the Skyrim story.
I do it almost every time I start a new playthrough,
Yeah.
only because I like doing the story, and then I do Dawn Guard because Dawn Guard is objectively the best storyline in Skyrim.
Yeah, really is.
It it is.
Dawn Guard is fucking incredible. I
I
love
do
it
like the
so much.
Dragonborn one. I do.
I
It's
liked
got
it
some
too, but it
weird
just
haunted stuff,
I
but
think it's cool. It just for me personally, it just felt so rushed. I don't know. The story just
that's
felt so
true.
rushed. Like it didn't give me
Yeah,
a second to like actually stop and enjoy the weird eldritch horror shit that I was into, you know?
exactly. You have to kind of rush through it
This
because
is
otherwise you
Hearthfire.
die.
I
Yeah.
Hmm.
I ate Hearthfire up
Yeah.
because I gotta make a house and decorate it.
True.
I played Hearthfire for like 30 or 40
This is a
hours.
Hearthfire erasure.
Yeah.
Listen. Hearthfire, there's no story in Hearthfire.
The story is the house.
Yeah. Come on. I'm not I said it was the best. I didn't say it was the best DLC. I said it was the best story in Skyrim.
Mhm. This is yeah, MMOs are fun for a bit for me, but if it takes too long and it's just pure grind, I can't do it. I
Yeah,
I
that's
I
one
run
of the
into that too.
and the conversation I was having with Spigs earlier today about
What about you?
MMOs. One of the reasons that I stuck with Star Wars: The Old Republic for so long is because they don't just say here's a grind. The real game starts at once at max level. Um, they actually make the leveling process kind of interesting because it's a story, right? And it's a story. It's a personal story, and I know a lot of people didn't like that about it because they felt like they were the hero and they should have. They wanted to feel in a Star Wars game like they aren't the hero. They wanted to feel like like in like Star Wars Galaxies back in the day, where you were just a person living in that in the Star Wars universe, and that was cool. And I think that's what a lot of people wanted when they heard there was a new Star Wars MMO coming out. Um, but that said, I do actually, while I too wanted that, I learned to appreciate Star Wars: The Old Republic for what it was, and what it was. It's not an MMORPG. It is a RPG with multiplayer elements, optional multiplayer, like opt in, opt out multiplayer. Um, but yeah,
Mm-hmm. And also, if games are designed to be too hard that it's such that it's almost impossible to just pick up the game and be able to complete it, I just can't do it.
mm-hmm.
I I like a lot of games and game types that are very difficult, but the caveat to that is I don't like games that are difficult for the sake of difficulty. I don't like games that are designed to be punishing just to make your life miserable. I
Yeah.
hate that.
That's why.
I don't mind really difficult games if learning to play the game is part of, like, you, for instance, with roguelikes, that's like things like Hades. I don't mind that I the first 10, 15, 20 runs I die before I get to Hades, because I still feel like I'm making progress, especially because there's like
Right.
story that's there. And
There's the alternatively, and I think this is a different version of basically exactly what you just said, but like a game
Mhm.
that's difficult but not punishing. And that's the game that I was starting to play, or I played a while back. It's my brain. Hold on, Ghost Runner. It's the cyberpunk
Yeah.
3D platformer, whatever. It's very
Mhm.
hard, but the nice thing is it's not punishing because if you die, which will happen, no, sorry, when you die, um,
It'll happen a lot.
it'll happen a lot. You can just instantly reset. There's no like load screen that you have to go through to like whatever. You just hit a button, you reset, and you can just take it again.
Yeah.
And I think that's that to me. It's hard, but the frustration was mitigated by how quickly you just sort of reset. And I wouldn't consider it comfort media because it is something that you have to be like, you just like tense. Like if I had a chiropractor, my chiropractor would have eaten very well during that month that I was playing that game because I was just like tense the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
But so it's not what I would consider comfort media, but on the level of games that are difficult but not punishing, I think that's an example of one.
Like, and I'll say too, Metroid Dread, as far as like Metroidvanias are difficult in their own way because of like the kind of like map navigation and like backtracking. It's very easy to get lost in those games. So like that's a separate level of difficulty that's I think off of the kind of like punishing gameplay scale. But like there are a lot of Metroid games and Metroidvania games that are extremely punishing, especially like early entries in the series, like Super Metroid Fusion, Zero Mission, like all of those GBA handheld titles and like the DS titles are all really punishing because you reset to the last save station you went to, which sometimes will be, and like in Super Metroid, sometimes this will be like 12, 15 rooms back. And that's so infuriating when you die. And
Yeah.
it's so punishing. But Dread, they went to a lot of work with a checkpoint system where, like, yes, the moment to moment gameplay of Metroid Dread is hard. But also when you die, you usually don't go back more than one or two rooms.
Yeah.
And so like the resets aren't that long, and the biggest complaint is maybe like a 10-15 second load screen, and then you can kind of just jump back into the rooms you were just navigating. So
Danny makes a great point, which is video games that fail forward because you can tell you're learning as you fail are what make difficult games like roguelikes and any such game that you do runs, and I agree.
Mhm.
There's a game called, I think I've talked about it before, called Outward. Um, it's a kind of hardcore survival exploration fantasy RPG, um, and it's really fun because when you die, you don't die. You get taken somewhere, right? Like if you like maybe you get captured by enemies and then you have to like break out of a prison, or like if they sold you to a prison then you have to like break out of the prison, or like work your way out of the prison, like
Mhm.
work like do tasks for people so that you can like bribe the guard so that you can get out, right? Or you could try to break out yourself. um there like sometimes you get, when you die, you get rescued by a mysterious stranger who drags you to a nearby campsite, and you wake up like with like a special potion or something like that that gives you a buff for a long time. And it's, I don't know, it's very cool. I like that kind of fail forward mechanics in a game,
Mhm.
and I don't
Yeah,
think I've seen enough of it.
Jolly Old Obnexos makes an excellent point about probably one of the best roguelikes that's been released in recent times, which is Hades by Supergiant Games. Is Hades the best roguelike that makes you feel good when you die because you get more story from the pretty NPCs? And like that is a fantastic example of, I think, a game where I don't feel bad when I die partway through a run, because there is so much dialogue to discover. Like every time you come back to the House of Hades, there's at least, even in the end game, there's at least one or two NPCs who will have a little exclamation mark and want to talk to
Mm-hmm.
you, and will deliver a few lines of story that will advance things. So like, any kind of like, oh no, my run ended, like is kind of washed away by the fact that, oh, now I get to talk to this pretty NPC who's gonna deliver like dialogue to me and advance the story. And so like every time I come back to the House of Hades, which inevitably happens at the end of every single run, whether or not you kill Hades, um, you still get something, because of course you picked up resources on the way, but also you get the reward of like the story and the kind of sub mechanic of like the kind of dating side of it that you can do.
Yeah.
So,
I What was I gonna say? Um, Nico makes an interesting point about like Hades lost me so hard after I'd unlocked all the weapons. Never finished it. Gameplay just got too boring for me to sit through. And I think this is an interesting point because I had a similar experience in the Outer Worlds, where the thing that I really enjoyed in the Outer Worlds was like meeting my crew and building my crew and recruiting them to my ship. And then once I found out that I had finished doing that and I had barely gotten into the game, I was like, well, now I don't care anymore.
Nico, the completionist in me is what keeps me playing Hades. I want to finish all the quests.
I don't have one of those.
Um,
I don't have a completionist in me.
Also, I do. So like Danny joked about one of the Drawfee folks who says about MMOs, like I do like it when number go up. And for me, I do like it when number go down, specifically the amount of time it took me to finish the run. I like it when that number is really tiny.
Oh, good night, PK Harn. Thank you for coming. Thanks for
Good
hanging out.
night. Yeah, I don't speed run Hades at all. Like there are some ridiculously quick runs of that game and stuff, but it is fun sometimes to be cruising through a run with the timer and be like, oh, I'm going really fast. Let's see how fast I can go. And then like at the end have beat my personal best by like a minute or something. Like
Yeah. Man, that kind of stuff just does not get me going. I like, for me with things like that, I'm just like, did I make it? Good, we're done now. Like I don't need to be the best. I don't need to be the best. I just need to get through it, which is kind of how it's kind of how I go through life too. I'm like, did I make it? Then I'm done. Like
Yeah. Not every game is a speed game for me, but sometimes every so often I find a game where I'm like, this is good. I want to see how fast I can make John go.
like anytime a game gives me like a thing of like, "Hey, you did this, but you could do it faster." I'm like, "No, I don't think I will."
I don't think I will.
I'll
Like
go at my own pace, thank
Or
you.
in the immortal words of Bartleby the Scrivener, I would prefer not to.
Um,
It does get boring, but the story has always been the draw for me in Hades. I only really use one weapon and don't care about upgrading unless it gets me more story. Yeah, I mean, fair. There's little bits of story that happen as you use some of the other weapons too, and as you unlock like other aspects of weapons. So it's worth playing through some of the other ones sometimes, but I can't remember. No, I know. For a second, I was like, wait, which is your favorite weapon again? And then I remembered. It's gun.
um, I'm trying to come back to
You beat the final boss, and then it says do that 9 more times, and then we'll give you the credits, and then the post game.
trying to like bring us back a little bit because I do think that like one of my like karaoke night said a while back, the like the kind of open world kind of game, the game where you can sort of like engage with it how you want. I do like that, but I find I especially like those kind of games when there are sort of like story elements to it. Like it's fun to have like the open world survival crafting kind of thing where you like make your own goals and do whatever you want. But I also think it's cool when you've got a game that's like huge open world kind of thing, but there is also story stuff that you can engage with. Um, like it's one of the reasons why I've got back into Fallout 4 recently. Because yeah, you can just sort of like wander around, do whatever you want, and kind of make your own story kind of thing. But you also can. There's like a lot of like built-in story stuff to engage with, so that kind of helps build the fiction. I think for me, any kind of comfort media is the kind of comfort media where I can invest in a fiction, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Whether it's one that I am creating or one that I am consuming, either way, that's for me the sort of comfort media, for me often. And so like games like, uh,
We'll see you later, odds.
later odds. Um, Thanks for coming and hanging out and sharing your thoughts. Yeah, that's what I like. For me, comfort media tends to be anything that I can invest in a narrative, whether it's one that I've made or just one that I'm consuming. I think that's, yeah, for me that's kind of the peak comfort.
Mm-hmm.
I do kind of agree. I do like to be like sometimes comfort media for me is like that. I just want to like fully shut off my brain and explode things. And then some like when it's I would say that's honestly kind of in the most of the time that's kind of in the minority of times. I do also like it when I especially kind of like games where I can kind of manufacture my own story a little bit as I'm going. And sometimes even when I am playing Let Me Explode Everything games, I will start doing that.
Right.
Like regardless of whether or not there's anything there.
This is a little bit like what the genesis for last week's topic was, which was like making our own stories in like games that we play. Yeah, I think that's
yeah,
Oh,
like I don't think that the observing is in chat tonight, but I almost roasted Destiny really hard.
I mean, that's a good way to get him to be here.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, one of the games that I know that I did that with was making up fun things about my hunter in Destiny, because sure as hell isn't any other lore in that game.
What was it? Was it last time that we learned that Destiny had like a companion app that like tells you lore, like a separate?
It does. What?
The worst part about it, sorry, this is sort of getting off the topic a little bit of like comfort media, but I just want to take a moment to yell about things for just a hot second. The worst part about that is that I can tell that I would be really into the lore of Destiny if I knew what the fuck it was. That's that's
Like, I don't know. I kind of feel the same way. I'm like, this seems really interesting. I wish I knew what
this is the most interested I've ever been in something I don't fully understand. The most interested I've ever been in something that was never explained to me.
That is the best summation of how I feel about Destiny lore that I think I have ever heard, which is this is the most invested I've ever been in something that has never been explained to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, Bree touching on it. When it comes to games, I either need them to have a story that engages me, or it needs to be menial tasks and cute decoration. That's kind of like I think that's kind of what we've been circling around here.
Yeah. I saw, so Danny said something cool up above, which I think was pretty interesting. The competitive scene. Chat just caught up automatically. Competitive scene and the part of games that many people love is I want to get the best numbers, and that can mean so many things. And for some people, it's boring or an unknown aspect of the game entirely, but other people love it. Yeah. For me, genuinely, like that's I do not enjoy the grind to get the bigger numbers. Like I receive a certain sense of satisfaction from getting big numbers in games, but like I don't enjoy the process of grinding to make my numbers bigger, if that makes sense. Um I just like, which is one of the reasons why, this is another thing I've talked about before, one of the reasons why I enjoyed Star Wars Squadrons so much, because it's the most I've ever enjoyed a competitive multiplayer game, because it's skill based. It's not numbers based. So like there are levels, right? There are different ranks that people have, but the rank is mostly indicative of how much time they've spent in game, and how many, and like tasks they've completed. It is not indicative of how good they are at the game, or like how much better than you they are, because pretty much it's just about like, it's about like how much practice you've put into being able to outfly your enemies. And quite frankly, even if you haven't put that much time into it, if you are smart enough and lucky enough, you can outfly your enemies, even if you've put in a significant, like a fraction of the time that they have. um and I think
Yeah,
that's what I find fun about that game. And then the reset time between matches was so quick. Like I was I never had time to be salty about matches. Like I never felt that way. It was always just like, all right, well that was fun. Like I actually enjoyed playing the game, and my enjoyment of the game did not hinge on winning or losing.
yeah, like, and that's a thing that a lot of matchmaking, like MMR or matchmaking rating based competitive games don't really have, right? Because like if you put me, like a platinum Apex Legends player, up against like a Predator, which is the top like 500 players in a region, they would be able to not only run circles around me, but they would kill me basically before I saw them. And that just like that would happen basically every time that I ran into one. And having run into a few of them sometimes because matchmaking is fucked, that's what happens. Is I'm like, oh yep, that was a Predator dive trail and I'm dead. Yep, nope, I'm dead. That didn't take long. Whereas, like it's cool that there are at least a few kind of competitive like team-based games where like you can go up against somebody who's got a lot of time in the game and still be able to kind of, if you play your
Yeah,
cards right.
because I don't understand what's fun about playing, like playing a game competitively, where if you are only interested in playing casually, then you're going to automatically have a terrible time, because you're playing against people who don't play casually,
mhm,
and their numbers, their gear, their whatever is just better than yours, and you will just lose because it's about numbers and not about skill, you know?
mhm,
It's about the
Mhm.
numbers, and the numbers are cold and objective. The numbers, like, don't care how smart you are or like how good you are at the game. And I guess for some people that's a comforting thought, because to them it means that there's a certain like objective curvature of, like, to the whole thing, right, where there's like a sort of objective leveling, sort, not leveling like leveling up, but leveling as in like flattening of the, sort of equalizing of things, where it's about the numbers, and if you can get your numbers high enough, then whatever. But I'm like, that to me is like,
yeah.
then why am I playing this game? You could just hook up a machine and like make the machine play the game, right? Like
Mhm.
why am I doing it? And I don't know. I just don't find that very fun.
Yeah, yeah. Also, how much money they pump into the game too to get like special like
Right.
features and
Yes, that's
whatnot
the other
too.
thing, right? Because that's,
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I like when a game, particularly competitive games, whenever they have stuff that's like, like microtransactions and whatever, it's like cosmetic shit. I like that,
Mhm.
because then,
That's cool.
then it does, and I think that is actually in large measure what uh grinding in Star Wars Squadrons does. It's primarily cosmetic stuff, or like you can unlock like other weapon types and things like that, but they're not like better quality weapons and like higher numbers or anything like that. It's just different weapons, that you can like change your loadout for your ship. And anyway, that's
Mhm.
very far outside of the point of any of this that we're talking about. But
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, we got off. We sort of like at Ramblemancy,
Ramblemancy.
name of the show. Yeah,
Ramblemancy.
Danny said Pokemon is one of my comfort games, I think, because every single game over my lifetime has added all together into me playing this one, the most recent one, Pokemon Arceus, I assume. How I choose or don't choose to build my team, learning about type matchups and knowing which Pokemon are which type, and like realizing I know something feels so good. Lore for Games also said, lore for games is such a thing. I don't actually enjoy the gameplay of Fallout games that much, and I'm not very good at them, but the lore fascinates me, and I love to watch videos.
That's how I feel about in TTRPGs. That's how I feel about Cyberpunk Red. Like, it's not that I don't like the game. I do like the game, but like the thing that draws me to that game is the lore. Like, that's what I love
Mhm.
about. I love the lore in Cyberpunk Red.
Nico, if you want to play League of Legends sometime, I will suffer through a game.
I'm sorry. Hold on a second.
But...
Nico, I think Nico, if you would like to get murdered, we can absolutely do this. And while we're playing League of Legends, you can talk to me about Grey Jedi. If you would like to get murdered, that is how that is a good way to do
it. Yeah, just pester Lucas about Grey Jedi while Lucas struggles to play mid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What? Yeah. What position do you play again, Nico? It's like totally aside from the topic. It's just but anyway.
Legend. Yeah, I was just listening to a song, Legends Never Die from League of Legends. I love that song so much. It like gets me pumped up. I listened to it like 5 times today, but I had to look it up to see. But I was like, yeah.
I will say
a thing that I wanted to mention real quick, because it's kind of not really a part of like feel good media. It's like media that you observed or you partook in, that you look back on because you took part in it for like a moment when it was in like at the height, or was like in the zeitgeist or whatever, and you took part in it, and then you think back on that and it gives you a really warm, comfortable feeling. You're like, it gives you a little bit of euphoria. And I'd say that those are like, I don't know if that's a whole topic for Ramblemancy, but it's something I wanted to bring up because I heard Pokemon and I thought of Pokemon Go when that came out for a brief moment.
That's right.
And
Pokemon
Lucas
Go,
and
the
I.
last good thing that happened.
The last good thing that happened.
The last good thing that ever happened.
The timelines diverged after Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Loki had such an impact on me. Like the timelines.
Sorry, Freeman. What were you talking about?
I don't know. I don't even know anymore.
You were talking about Pokemon
Oh,
Go.
yeah, I do know what I was. I don't think there was much to say. Just like there are like times where I've had that, and I think back on it, and I'm like, that was so cool. How we just was so silly. How we just like we downloaded the game. We walked into the fort. It's like placed nearby.
I'll BRB. I'm smelling smoke from somewhere.
All right, no worries. I hope that's not a thing. Hopefully it's anyway. Yeah. So we went this. We took a walk in the park at night, and we had our phones, and it was like a week into Pokemon Go, and there's no lights, no flashlight, just the light from our screen. We're walking on this dark trail, looking for Pokemon, and that's just like a moment that I feel like I look back on. I'm like, that was so good. I don't think I could probably play the game again, but I do really enjoy that memory, I think.
Yeah, and I think Pokemon Go is kind of like a fond memory for a lot of people, because it was an intersection of a lot of really cool things, and it was something that got a lot of people. We're talking about Pokemon Go, Lucas.
Cool.
I was just saying. I said what I said, Nico. KDA. But like I think Pokemon Go is a fun memory for a lot of people because it's an intersection of so many cool things, right? And like it was something that got a lot of people who weren't really into video games or mobile games into it, because it also combined it with like getting outside, and there were a lot of like community and communal aspects of it, of like for this one summer. And then as they introduced more content like community days and like raids and gyms, and where you could like, you know, battle other players and like, you know, all hunt the same Pokemon or try and work together to defeat powerful Pokemon that spawned in specific locations with like very, very broadcast timers. You know, like I think that game had like a very powerful kind of effect in creating a community around it, which I think was really, really cool, especially given that it was a game designed to get you outside and walking around and interacting with people and also catching Pokemon. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know, like Pokemon Go was I don't know, just such a wild experience that sort of took the world by storm.
Yeah. The Utopia existed for one glorious summer, and then everything went to shit and kept going.
The truth, it hurts.
Yeah.
Also, I just realized I watched a drama about esports and they're playing League, and I didn't realize because they used the term jungle, and I was so confused. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that's a MOBA term.
I was thinking about sorry, going back to like Freeman's original point about like those things, that those pieces of media that you like engage in a moment, you know, for just a moment. And I'm trying to remember if there's like any like big ones that I remember besides Pokemon Go, like that were sort of.
That one's kind of hard to forget.
Yeah.
Right.
But
I know that there have been. I just can't think of them off the top of my head.
No, me too, and that's why I brought it up, because I had another one as well. I mean, there's many. That's the truth of the matter. There are so many. That's the thing. That's probably the problem. There's so many that we can't just pinpoint one, and our brains are like, boop.
There was a Goldilocks zone of playing League of Legends for me that was kind of that, where I did it kind of frequently for about a year. And there was a Goldilocks period of playing League of Legends where it's like, I suck at this and it's horrible and I hate it and I am too invested in this and it takes all of my time and I'm angry all the time. But there was this Goldilocks zone of like, I come home, you know, from substitute teaching and I make myself some dinner and then I pop on Discord and there's a few of my friends and we jump in, we play a game or two of League, then we wind down for the evening. And like that was a very fun thing that I did just for like a little while, for like a year or so, like that I was very into. That was fun. And like that Goldilocks zone of like that kind of just like, again, that kind of a communal thing, like come on, wind down with some friends with a common activity and then you know, kind of do our own thing.
Danny said my dad still plays Pokemon Go more than regular Pokemon. I got him into it and he still plays it every day and like goes to meetups and battles and stuff. He's part of the local group chat about Pokemon Go. They talk about everything. It's him and like a bunch of other grown ass people and they're all friends and like his Pogo friends are the times I've heard of him having friends outside of work in years. Wow. I think Pokemon Go might be my dad's comfort game. I love that for your dad.
That's so cool.
My dad too, though. Like,
really?
Okay. Because like basically the same thing. Like my dad, you know, was kind of into video games, would sometimes play them with me and kids, but you know, mostly just like play a couple rounds of Halo and then realized we were way better at Halo. Like Colin was like near like tournament level Halo and when I went to college, and like people didn't like playing against me and my friend group, and I didn't like playing against Colin. But like, you know, so like, but when I Pokemon Go came out, and then I had like kind of a big 6-7 month bout with my health, which I was in the hospital for several months as a result of, and we'll coast over that because I'm out the other side of it and I'm fine. But it was funny because one of the ways that I got through that is I had like drifted off of Pokemon Go after its initial surge, but it turns out that when you're in the hospital for a month and the hospital is populated heavily with Pokemon stops or Pokestops and gyms and spawn points, because a bunch of the staff of the hospital are like militant Pokemon Go players who are like max level and have the ability to like request locations for stops and gyms and stuff.
Amazing.
when a bunch of the staff are, then like the whole campus was just inundated with it. So I was the best patient on the ward because I would walk. I would hardly ever be in my bed once I was able to walk, and I'd just be all over the hospital playing Pokemon Go with the staff. And that got, of course, because my parents were there, like that got my mom a little bit and my dad very into Pokemon Go for a while. And then like I fell off of Pokemon Go, you know, about a year after I got out of the hospital. But my dad like had went so like continued to go so hard. Like he like coasted past me in levels like years ago now. And it's the same deal. Like I think it's his comfort game too. Like when he gets like on his lunch break, he'll go like drive through the park and spin stops and do a couple raids. And he's part of the group Discord, like our town's Discord. And then sometimes for like community days, he will drive to a bigger city with better because he's not just part of like that, just he's part of a couple other cities Discords too. And so sometimes he'll drive to like Rochester or up here to participate in a community day, and I love that for him so much. Yeah,
that's incredible. I'm sorry, I just want to really acknowledge Danny said sometimes I still think about the first time my dad ever played Smash, and we were playing Melee on my cousin's Wii as kids, and he came in and picked Jigglypuff and beat everyone. That's incredible. I love that. Yeah. Dads love Pogo.
Dads do love it's the dad game.
Yeah,
it's the dad game.
I know my dad would hate it. But
yeah, I can see that.
My dad would be like, "What the fuck is this?" Genuinely, I think the only reason I stopped is because, well, for one, it got a little too grindy for my taste. But the other thing is that also it was like rough on my battery life. So
yeah,
those were kind of the main things.
I remember that too, because we went into the park and we got to a certain point and we were like, oh, all right, time to go back.
Yeah, that's right. Like I remember didn't our phones like fully die? Or at least mine did.
I don't even think, because I think that I didn't fully charge mine, to be perfectly honest. I think I was not even at full battery. So, and we probably didn't realize at the time that it was going to take up battery that
was
much
pretty
battery.
early on in the whole thing. So yeah.
So we're like, yes, I'm at 69% battery. And so we'll be fine.
Portable chargers, Jesus. Yeah, I remember needing like a portable battery like that I would use often when I was playing. But yeah, that game was such a battery hog. So hello, Reverse Aquaman.
Hello. Now flashing back to getting the first Smash game when it released. Fuck, I'm old. And my brother, mine Kirby, hated it. Yeah. Oh God, I don't even want to think about like. I wasn't like super big. Like I was not. At the time when I was like a small child, PC gaming was like just starting to become a thing, and like I was never a console person. Like my parents adamantly refused to be the sort of parents who like made television and video games a surrogate parent. Like I just like didn't have those things. But like until I was like 6 when one of my dad's good friends sent me a video game for like a PC game. And it was over. I've been a PC gamer since I was 6 years old. That's a weird thing to think about.
Yeah.
That like,
man,
I have been a gamer for let's see. Hold on. I'm not gonna time to tell you what fraction of my life that is, but it's approximately a fifth of my life. Pretty close.
I think probably started in high school. I mean, I played video games at friends' houses because that's what they had early on, like way before high school. And so they would play video games and they're like, try this out. And be like, oh, okay, I guess. Well, I don't know. I played in the woods, and that's what I did for a lot of my younger days. And then in high school, We had a friend who had all kinds of cool gadgets and played Assassin's Creed and Flat Out 3
Oh my God, flat out.
and unlimited, oh no, ultimate, what is it? Unlimited
Unreal
tournament,
Tournament. Unreal.
Unreal Tournament,
I think
and just a few other smattering of other games.
that was
And
Unreal Tournament 2, wasn't it? I think it
yeah, it was 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I know we played 3 at one point, and then the one with zombies, I think. But
I don't remember.
before that was just like if someone else had video games, I would try them out, but I never really got into it until much later, actually, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. Razak
I
Math,
was
thank you for using some of your time to be here. I appreciate having you swing by.
yeah.
But yeah, I know. I understand how leisure time and free time can be difficult to come by this, so I very much appreciate you spending some of it here.
Yeah, a lot of people like talking about their origins now. Danny's saying they grew up on the Nintendo DS and then the Wii. Breeze is a console gamer. My parents were gamers, so they always bought the new one when it came out. Plus the GameCube and introducing me to Harvest Moon. Jolly Old Amos says I was playing Zoombinis as early as 3 years old on my dad's Apple computer running Mac OS 9. That's a blast from the past. It started.
Ooh.
Yeah, it started. I was so like I've had an interesting journey because I was console until college, and then I was almost exclusively PC after that because my brother was still in high school, and I didn't like we bought the Xbox together, and I was like, I have the PC to play games on now, and I'm not gonna take the only modern game console in the house, so my brother can't play it. Also, I'm going to be in my freshman year of college, and bringing an Xbox seems like a bad idea. That was a good decision that 18-year-old Jonathan made. But yeah, like I was introduced to games on the Super Nintendo at a very young age, and
Hi,
then
Orange.
and then from there it was kind of a limited selection of video games because like my parents basically were like a hybrid school of go play outside and also like, okay, well, you can play some video games. And they didn't really like have the kind of money to throw in to get us every new generation of console. So like we had an Xbox, and then we got an Xbox 360, and I would sometimes play PS5, PS3, PS4 games at my like friends' houses and stuff.
Which Jumpstart game? I'm curious which one it is. Cause yeah, I think most of my early gaming was educational games.
Webkins and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. Oh man, those old educational computer
Anybody
games.
remember? I think I recently found it actually, but anybody remember Bugdom?
Yes.
I
do
spent
remember
so
Bugdom.
much of my life thinking that I had imagined that fucking game. But then
So did I. Like I could never remember what it was called, and then like eventually, like I think I brought it up actually on Ramblemancy. I was like, "What was that bug game?" And
yeah,
like,
that's right. I remember that
That's
because
sweet.
you said it, and I was like, "Are you talking about Bugdom?" Did I? Yes, it was. This was not.
It wasn't just a hallucination.
This wasn't just
like...
random neurons firing in my brain.
I was like, I had this collection of maybe like 12 hours of playing this weird bug game on my mom's Mac in the basement, but I think I might have hallucinated it because nobody ever knows what I'm talking about.
Danny, can you describe what you remember of this game? I mean, it's fine if you don't want to, but like, I'm really curious now because
World of Warcraft at a young age. Wow, hell yeah.
World of Warcraft came out when I was 12.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a thing. Carmen Sandiego time travel game, first exposure to Norse mythology. That's cool. I played a Carmen Sandiego game too. I don't think it was that one, but I did also have a Carmen Sandiego game. I genuinely don't know where some of the. I think it was like there were some, in places like in stores like Ross or like things like that where they have like just like a bin where they just or like a shelf that they like those wire shelves that have they would just have like a bunch of random games in there. I think I picked up a lot of games from places like that.
Nico's origin story of learning broken English from
I saw that.
is very sweet. That is adorable, Nico.
Oh my gosh. First game was StarCraft. I still don't think I have played any StarCraft game.
That's okay.
Yeah. I don't It's weird because it seems like the thing is it's the kind of thing that I feel like I would like now, but at the time I don't think I would have liked it. You know, the early 2000s, every Korean PC game came with it. Korean PC came with it installed.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, that's fair. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you were like, oh man, that's taking me back to playing
Okay.
like Command and Conquer and Age of Empires and Age of Mythology.
Ooh, Age of Mythology.
Boy.
Why is okay? Can we talk about why Age of Mythology is still $30 on Steam?
Why?
Anyway,
Why?
uh,
Anyway.
Why?
Danny said, okay,
All
so
right.
you were like 3D anthro, like cat people, or we all picked to be the cat person, and you could have pets and wash and clean them. There was a place with a pizza game and an ice cream game and a field you'd catch butterflies in. This is like vaguely ringing a bell to me, but I don't know. I don't know. Sign shirts.
Yeah, like this is touching on like the
Mhm.
echoes of something buried.
Because like one of the things
deep
I
in,
know
like,
about
10-year-old
we're
Jonathan's
gonna
skull.
do a deep dive into Jumpstart lore. No, because like one of the things I know is that there were like Jumpstart games that were like the grades, right? First grade, second. I think when they went up through fifth grade. Um, but then there were also like other Jumpstart games, like Jumpstart teaches math or like Jumpstart teaches reading or something like that. Um, yeah. It wasn't Jumpstart World, but like when you try and Google it, it looks like the most likely Jumpstart World. Okay. WoW came out with when I was 6, and I remember making a night elf and getting a pet and being enamored. Yeah.
And thus a druid main in D&D was born.
Listen, Bree, um, that makes me feel really fucking old. uh, but yeah, I I think the first character I made in WoW was an undead, but that was only because my friend who played it played a troll and I wanted to be able to play with him. But I'm going to tell you this right now. I am an alliance player. I cannot get into any of the I think the horde races are cool, but for whatever reason it's just like I never get into it. I just could never get into it. So like the next character that I made was a night elf rogue, and that was maybe the one that I was like, yes, that was the first WoW character that I made that I was like, yes, I like this character and I'm in. um, but now I'm boring vanilla trash and I just make humans all the time. And every single time I think I'm going to make something else, I'm like, nope, I'm gonna make another human. So yeah. Um, Horde get constantly painted as the bad guys as the X packs went on. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That wasn't the issue that I had with them. I just like couldn't get into like I thought the Horde races were really cool. I just like I didn't like any of their starting areas. I just like couldn't get into their starting areas. And that made it really difficult for me to like do that. But yeah.
When Burning Crusades came out and it was huge, and my baby brother made a Draenei named Bluefin. As a child, the Horde scared me, I can imagine. So anyone remember the educational children's game with the dog? There were a lot. I feel like there were. I mean, again, this is touching on like echoes of things for me, but I learned the word kumquat. I can't help you here.
I know there was like the we're totally not Jumpstart called Clue Finders. I can't remember if there was dogs involved with them, but I think those were mostly math. No, I don't know. Anyway, I love the idea of a bunch of traditionally monster races banding together to just like live. That appealed to me. Yeah. I also think that's cool. Like I like the horde conceptually. I think for me the problem was always gameplay. Like I just didn't like the quests that you had to do with the horde. I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Although there is a special place in my heart for Tauren. Like I have a special place in my heart for Tauren. I think Tauren are very cool. I think their starting area is very cool and evocative. But yeah. Yeah, Bree. Same. I also like Torin. They genuinely have a special place in my heart, and I do believe that if I ever go back to WoW, I will make a Tauren. I don't know what I will make. Oh, you know what the other problem I had with Horde was? I didn't like a lot of the class selection for some of the races. Like where I'd be like I really want to play an orc, but I do not like any of these classes.
Mm-hmm.
um yeah. Then they made elves in the Horde, so then I was game. Yeah, fair enough. Blood elves, baby.
Yeah.
Okay, but I think we're at the end of our show now.
Yeah, we have kind of arrived at that a few minutes after 10:30 mark.
Yeah. So, and this time we didn't even start before the hour to trick ourselves into thinking that we had gone longer than we did. So,
Mhm.
we are actually ending now. But, yeah, I wanted to play Tauren, but they wouldn't let me be a druid. Exactly. I think you can. I think you can play Tauren druids now. Right? Am I wrong about that?
So weird to limit class choice by.
Mm-hmm. I know there's Tauren shaman. Can you play? Anyway, we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah,
We're not going to talk
agreed,
about that. We're
DJ.
trying to end the show. Um, but visceral WoW character creation memories. I know. What a
Brought to you
note to
by
end
tonight.
on.
Brought to you by tonight's episode of Ramblemancy Comfort Media.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much everybody for coming, hanging out with us tonight and talking about your favorite stuff. This was a lot of fun, a lot of good conversation here. Um I definitely need somebody else to do like the outro stuff.
I
So
got you.
thank you.
I got you.
My
As
brain
usual,
doesn't work anymore.
next week on Rule of Lore, just some quick announcements. You can find us in most of our usual places. Currently, we are not streaming Into Deep on Tuesdays as Colin is finishing his college career, and that takes a lot of energy, and we do not want him to stream right now doing that. So, Into Deep will pick up in a few weeks, month or two, when the cast are able to do it again. But until then, we will be streaming most likely Infinite Horizon Wednesday evenings and Ramblemancy right here on Friday evenings, like clockwork at 7 p.m. Pacific. You can just about every week find us here doing this. If you would like to help us keep the lights on, support us in making more like actual play content and stuff like that, and kind of helping us do everything that we do here, there are a variety of ways that you can do that. The easiest are to just retweet our stuff to follow us on our social media, retweet it, reblog it, whatever, share, comment, make clips of the stream. But if you would like to throw us monetary support, there are a lot of ways you can do that. You can sub to us here on Twitch, which they take a 50% cut of, but you do get some cool emotes.
It also
You can
does actually shockingly help us a significant amount when you do sub here. So even
Yeah,
though
no,
they take a 50% cut, it still does help a lot. So
yeah, sub bombs and bits are all hugely helpful to what we do. So that's an easy way to do it and get a little bit of cool stuff in return. In addition, the best way to support us probably is on Patreon, where you can get all kinds of cool rewards. We have a lot of stuff aimed at running and playing tabletop games. We have little insights and peeks into like our lives here as content creators at Rule of Lore, the media that we're into. And fun facts, subbing on Twitch and connecting it to Discord means that you get some of these rewards from our Patreon.
mhm.
So if that's an incentive to sub on Twitch, there's a lot of things that come with it. You can also, if you choose to support us at some of the higher tiers, be involved in helping us or making content with us that you will see on our actual place in the Patreon writers room. So lots of cool stuff to find on our Patreon. If you want to just drop some one-time support, we do have a coffee and a tip jar here around here. So those are great ways to just throw us a little one-time donation. And I think, oh yeah, and you can get Rule of Lore themed merch. We do have an updated logo designs in our store now. We had Murphy Pop Art, Megan updated so many of our visuals, including this gorgeous overlay that you see us sitting in right now. Follow at Murphy Pop Art on Twitter. They are amazing.
I don't think that's that. I think it's at Kawaii Not on Twitter.
Yes, at Kawaii Not Murphy Pop Art is just the name of the account. Yeah, so follow at Kawaii Not. They're incredible. They did all this, and you can find their designs as well as some of our other merch designs in our Streamlabs merch store, so that you can rep Rule of Lore wherever you go. And I Oh, and last but certainly not least, if you're on the VOD squad, or if you are here right now and are not already in our Discord, you should join the Discord. It's a great place to continue the conversation after Ramblemancy, or if you're watching any of our shows, a fantastic place to post fan art, chat about things, react to them, tell us about what media you're into, or just be greeted every single morning by a chorus of good morning and good zones from various members of our community across the globe. It's a cozy, fantastic little place to be, and we would love to have you in there. So I think that's our end of stream spiel.
Yeah. Couple of things to add. Number one, also, additionally, if you are VOD Squad and you don't want to wrestle with Twitch to find the VODs, you also, everything that we do here pretty much gets uploaded to YouTube. So you can find that here. If I can spell, I can't spell.
YouTube.
There we go. You can find that. And if you are watching on YouTube, the links to everything that we have just talked about, you can find those in the description.
Slap the like. Subscribe.
The other thing I wanted to say is thank you so much, Bree, for donating. Thank you for the tip.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, that's everything. We are gonna go. Hopefully, we will see you. Yes, John.
Q Times is currently live with Parliament of Owls.
That they are.
Would we like to raid into Parliament of Owls?
Go for it. Let's do it. All
right, hell yeah. I have to open the Q Times stream and then copy the
I think I can just do it.
I got it.
Okay, you got it? Okay, cool.
Yeah. All right, there we go.
All right. So we're gonna go raid Q Times. Do stick around so that you can go and like give them a hey. Yeah, we're gonna go. Hopefully we will see you on Wednesday for Infinite Horizon. But if not, we'll see you the next time you decide to come roll with us. Good night and good zone, everybody.